Then.
Okay, you're all getting a thing on your screen now. Do not press the wrong button.
Okay, good.
Good, all yours. Thank you.
It's quite funny because John and I actually haven't met, but I'll just quickly give you a background on the Event Greening Forum from site's perspective, and then I'm going to leave it to John, the expert, to kind of tell us more. But sure, way back when, must be nearly 10 years ago, when the Event Greening Forum was in its infancy. Justin, who's an exhibition partner of ours, they make great stands and design events, kind of from a staging perspective, was one of the founders, and we tried at that point to get Southern Africa to join up as a founder member of the Event Greening Forum. And at our local MICE show, Meetings Africa, there's actually a photograph of all the founders, and I'm in it, which is weird because until very, very recently, we actually weren't officially members. The reason for that was we weren't a legal entity in South Africa yet, and Site Global would have had to sign a whole lot of legal documentation, which is a bit of a sort of long shot in terms of the timing. So we've been aligned, but not officially part of the Event Greening Forum until this year. Site is now an official nonprofit. Site Africa is an official nonprofit registered in South Africa, so we can actually sign on behalf of ourselves now, and we're part of the family of the Event Greening Forum. In my own right, our company has also joined, and we, I think, are making great strides. We have an event coming up for 1,500 people, a roadshow in 2 cities. And just in terms of the input on stand designs, there's an exhibition portion of this roadshow. There's so much recycling, going on that I'm really excited about it. And aligned with that is sustainability accreditation for our company. Hassan's company has been through the same program. So we're busy documenting an event that's happening in 2.5 weeks, and using our kind of the learning experiences that we've gained from Event Greening Forum to create a sustainable event. Should we do the rest of the introductions as we get to the individuals, Tess, and let John, and he's probably got the most time constraint, carry on? You're muted.
Yes, please go ahead. John, you go first, and then I'll bring on Heidi and Eda when you're done. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Tess, and thank you very much, Daryl. Yes, we haven't met in person, but it's lovely to meet you online here. And thank you very much for that introduction to the Event Greening Forum. I'm not sure what I'm going to add to that, but I'll do my best. Tess, I'm not, do you have any, can you give me sharing rights, please? I have a presentation that I'd like to share with everybody.
Sure.
Thank you. So while I'm doing that, just to tell you a little bit about myself, I am a recent appointment as the chairperson of the Event Greening Forum in South Africa. Previously, I was the deputy or vice chair. I took up that position in 2022. to think about it now, and have been part of the Event Greening Forum as a company almost right from the word go, but officially in a capacity in the past 2 years. And then, as I said, this year I was selected and elected as the Event Greening Forum's new chairperson. So that's just a little bit about who I am. Can everybody see the screen?
Yep.
Good on my side, yeah.
Good, fantastic. Just making sure. As I said, technology challenge just now. So thank you, everybody. Welcome to the Event Greening Forum. Oh God, what did I tell you? There we go. So how did it all start? Well, like Daryl mentioned, we do go way back to around 2002. So the Event Greening Forum is in approximately 12 years old now. It started when South Africa hosted the World Summit on Sustainable Development in 2002. This event was pivotal in drawing urgent attention for the need for events and exhibitions to be managed in a more sustainable manner. And as a result, led directly to the launch of the EGF. The EGF was formed and supported and guided of 8 South African event industry associations. And now we also welcome with great pride SITE officially as a member of the Event Grading Forum. We really are pleased and excited to have you part of the forum. As Daryl said, Justin Hawes was one of the founding members of the Event Greening Forum, together with Grace and a whole bunch of other people. I'm not too afraid with the history at this moment in time of the EGF, but needless to say, they have built up an organization that is where it is today as a leading representative within the eventing and exhibition industry in South Africa in respect to the greening and sustainability. Our mission is to lead, inspire, and empower the events industry towards sustainable practices. Through collaboration, education, and advocacy, we strive to catalyze positive environmental and social impact, fostering a culture of responsibility and innovation. We are committed to advancing sustainability across all facets of the event planning and execution. We aim to create a more resilient and environmentally conscious industry, ensuring memorable experiences that leave a positive legacy for the generations to come, as well as obviously in the areas in which we operate. And where events and that are hosted. So the Event Greening Forum, in terms of greening and sustainability, encompasses two major areas. Basically, the greening or the earth-friendly elements that we talk about from a sustainability and a greening perspective. Then, of course, there's also the sustainability when we look at the financial and the economic sustainability within the environment in which we operate. So obviously, the local communities, etc. One of the benefits that we offer our members that join the Event Greening Forum is we have access to a valuable set of resources, educational materials, industry insights, and best practices. Obviously, through our events and online sessions like this, for example, and through our associations, we offer great networking opportunities, not only for our members, but obviously for our association partner members as well. We offer professional development, so our members are part of our education and training working group, and from there we obviously provide the necessary education and training to help those who have not yet begun their journey of sustainability and greening. We try to educate them and show them how to take the baby steps from right through to the more complicated carbon footprint measuring and things like that. We offer visibility and recognition, so all our members are visible on our website and at most of our events, and we encourage them also to use our insignia on all their marketing material as well, so that they can easily be identified as members of the Event Greening Forum. And as I said, we offer support and guidance where all our members and association partners may require. At speaking engagements, so like this, as well as to our members through our educational seminars and workshops. We also have what we call the Green Database, which we're very proud of. It's something that we've recently launched the past 4 or 5 years. And the Green Database is basically a database of suppliers, venues, etc., within the South African and broader Southern African market, where our members can find resources that they may need for their exhibitions and/or events, from sort of, like from gifting requirements to technical companies, catering companies, all of those the type of environments we offer on our Green Database. So where do we start as the Event Greening Forum? So we have, as I said, various different resources that we encourage our members to make use of. Number one is the Net Zero Carbon Events Global Initiative, where there's a collective ecosystem of various different knowledge points within the ecosystem of event greening, talking to the 17 UN SDGs. Then we have a directory of interesting sites. Again, our members are very varied. We have members from the exhibition industry, we have venue members, we have supplier members, we have organizer members, we have event company members. So we try to, on our website, provide a full library of various different articles and points of interest that we come across that may be applicable to any one of our members. And then, as I said, we've got the green database. One of the big driving forces of the Event Greening Forum at the moment is we are a signatory to the Net Zero Carbon Events Initiative. And with that in mind, we obviously are driving and encouraging this initiative within the Southern African and South African market. And the big question we always get asked is, why do we need net zero carbon events? Well, it all has to do with the Paris COP21 zero carbon emissions fulfillment, that by 2050, there is the international consensus that we would like to achieve a net zero carbon events dissemination by 2050. As we all know, we're in this industry, tourism space as well. We are an incredibly wasteful industry. Much of our work that we do within the exhibitions, events, is once off, which means that everything we use is pretty much disposable. And hence, we are considered one of the most wasteful industries in the globe. However, because we do what we do, we have a huge ability to influence and make a big difference, not only within our industry, but in the global environment as a whole. In Glasgow at COP26, the industry pledge was made by the Joint Meetings Industries Council and our industry to achieve, as I said, a net zero by 2050. And the interim goal is a 50% carbon emissions reduction by 2030. Not long to go, so we are, as I said, very heavily driving this, so that at least we are making awareness, which is obviously the first point. And then after being aware, we're now starting to encourage members on how to work towards achieving this 50% carbon emission reduction by 2030. And then ultimately, hopefully we will achieve the 2050 goal. What is the difference between a net zero and a carbon offset? So net zero is obviously as explanatory as it is, as the name suggests. We want to make a zero carbon emissions. In other words, all events, exhibitions, travel, tourism to be net zero by 2050. In other words, zero carbon emissions. A huge ask, I know, everybody keeps saying that. And is it achievable? You speak to the doomsday people and they also know we'll never get it. I tend to be on the more positive side of things and say it is achievable if everybody does something towards it. From my perspective, I think we could achieve it, but it means getting involved and doing stuff. And then obviously the carbon offsetting is where we take initiatives such as tree planting, etc., to offset the carbon that we're currently emitting into the environment. So one is aimed at offsetting and the other is aimed at removing. The Net Zero Carbon Events Pledge is to create an industry initiative to address climate change. And at the moment, the Event Greening Forum and the Southern African Association for the Conference Industry are signatories to this Net Zero Carbon Events initiative. We do also have a number of our members who have also signed up as individual members to the Net Zero Carbon Events Initiative. These members can be found on our website as well as on the Net Zero Carbon Events Initiative website as well. Understanding why selling sustainability in the eventing industry is very important, because the world is on fire, as we know. The global warming is real. I can just tell you that from sitting here in Johannesburg today. We're sitting at a temperature of 32 degrees, which is unheard of. We are supposed to be in autumn, and for those of you who are American, fall. And our average autumn or fall temperature in Johannesburg should be between 23, 24 degrees, and we are now sitting well over 30. So, and it's also been recorded as one of the hottest summers. We've had heat waves after heat wave here. So those who deny that global warming is real just need to come spend some time outside in the open and get out of the air conditioning office spaces and homes. Climate change is happening right now as we speak, as I said. In the eventing and exhibition industry, being one of the most wasteful industries in the world, this is a real picture of an event skip, and one of many at one of our exhibition centers here in South Africa. As you can see, a whole lot of waste that gets dumped into the landfill sites, and from there it just sits and doesn't decompose, and obviously leads to carbon emissions into the atmosphere, and again leading to the warming of our planet. Another very big contributing factor to events and exhibitions is obviously transport, whether it be transport of the various infrastructure that needs to get to the various venues and all the attendees at the various events. It's a huge contribution and a controversial element towards event greening. Impact number 3 from an event and exhibition impact in terms of the climate is hosting an event in a particular space requires large amounts of water, obviously energy and materials that are eating into the limited resources, and in particular in countries like South Africa, which are a water deficiency society as it is. The added consumption of water and energy is obviously something of a concern. So, one has to look at different ways of mitigating against these elements that contribute towards the global impact of events and exhibitions and tourism in the overall climate. But of course, there's obviously the very positive element around exhibition and events, and we all experienced that during the COVID pandemic, when events and exhibitions and tourism was banned in some places and restricted in others. The industry went into a downward spiral. Some of it was decimated, and we're only now starting to see the recovery of this industry and realizing the importance of this industry, because events drive industries and societies. They shape conversations, they foster innovation and generate business. So they are key to human collaboration. So ultimately, the events industry has a special role to play in tackling climate change. We provide the meeting places and marketplaces to work on solutions to the climate crisis. At the same time, we have a responsibility to minimize our impacts on these climate changes. So on the one hand, we're a very positive contributor to societies and environments, but on the other hand, we also do a great lot of damage to that. So we've got to find that balancing act, and that's where greening and sustainability and organizations such as the Event Greening Forum play an incredibly important role, as we help our members to understand what they should be doing in order to mitigate against these bad influences that our sector has on the environment and the economy. What is a green or a sustainable event? Well, it incorporates sustainable development principles and practices in all levels of event organization and aims to ensure that the event is hosted responsibly. The question one needs to ask ourselves is, do we, as organizers or hosts of an event or an exhibition, push our clients and suppliers into working with us in a greening and sustainable way, or are they the ones that are pulling us along into the space? So on the whole, there's a bit of a push and a pull scenario, but mostly it's a push scenario, or should be a push scenario, and that should come from ourselves as members of the event industry. We need to change our mindsets. As I said, events have a large environmental impact, and therefore it's important to understand why we need to change our actions. This needs to become an integral part of planning and implementation at a micro level. So greening should be the be-all and end-all when we start an event. It should be the first thing we consider when we start planning an event, even from where it's going to be hosted from the country and or continent and or venue, etc. And that should be our starting point. And then from there, we implement all the other sustainability and environmentally friendly elements that we need to consider when we host and implement an event or undertake a tourism activity. We need to understand how you can implement event greening at your next event. So some of the positive impacts of hosting a green event is the reduction of the negative environmental impacts such as carbon emissions, waste to landfill, and the effect on the biodiversity. Second one is to improve the resource efficiency of the entire event and supply chain management, increase economic, social, and environmental benefits. Obviously, that has a triple bottom line effect. 4, reduce the negative impacts on the local inhabitants, which is something that we tend to ignore. We just think, oh, well, these guys must be very happy. We're bringing a lot of people and economy into it. But as I said, when we do that, what are we taking away from the local community and the local inhabitants is we are digging into their scarce resources. Like, for example, in South Africa would be water and possibly electricity. Well, not possibly, definitely electricity. Then protect the local biodiversity, water and soil resources, the damage that our exhibition booths and things like that bring to the environment by dumping them into landfill sites. And then, of course, the last is to raise awareness of the sustainability among the role players. So those are some positive impacts that can come out of hosting a green event. Benefits: greening events should not only reduce the negative environmental impact, but should also leave a positive and lasting legacy for the local community. Here are some of the benefits for the local community and also to the organizers: cost savings, positive reputation, PR, environmental innovations. By innovating, we can leave behind some innovating ideas and technologies in the places that we go to. Raising awareness amongst delegates about the impact that they have when attending events. Social benefits, as I said, benefiting the local community by involving them, influencing decision-making policies within the local city councils and things like that. And then, of course, one thing that we all are in a business environment is we want to get a better return of investment. And if we follow all these things, at the end of the day, we should come out with a better return of an ROI. The way forward, how do we go about implementing and doing all of this sort of things is obviously taking responsibility, joining organizations such as the EGF, signing or collaborating with organizations such as the Net Zero Carbon and Events Initiative, and being part of that and learning from the tools that they provide. The 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. So these are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals that the United Nations and that is also driving the Net Zero Carbon Events Initiative. And I keep getting asked, but there's so many things to consider. My answer to anybody and everybody is take one. Take one for this event. Maybe the next event, pick 2. Third event, pick 3, and so forth. And before you know it, once you've gotten used to implementing 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, you're going to be doing all 17. So, in South Africa, we have a saying, how do you eat an elephant? It's one tiny bite at a time. And how are we going to address the impact of the events and the exhibition and travel industry within the global environment? Sustainability is exactly that, one little bite at a time. So pick the one that is most relevant for your event, which is the easiest one for you to implement at your next event and or conference or exhibition, and try to implement that in all ways. And make sure that you and your whole team buy into this. If you and your team buy into it, it's going to be a lot easier to convince clients and delegates also to start buying into it. If they see, humans are, as we know, Pavlov's dog philosophy. You see one person doing X, Y, and Z, a lot of people follow doing X, Y, and Z. So it's just going to take one person to take that step into the greening, and many people will follow thereafter. And that's about it. And I think I'm smack on the button on the time that was allocated to me. So
well done.
Thank you very much. Which is something unusual for me. So you guys are very lucky.
Thank you so much, John.
Thank you, John.
And if you can just unshare, and then I just have 1 or 2 questions for you.
Yes.
In terms of joining Event Greening Forum, is it for South African companies only, or can other African countries or companies join as well?
Absolutely, with the greatest of pleasure. We are looking, obviously we started off as a South African organization, but we are slowly but surely making inroads into other African countries. And then we can also, we also welcome global members. Greening and sustainability is not only a South African issue, it's a global issue. So we would welcome international members as well in order to broaden our horizons and also gain learning and knowledgeable experiences from other African countries and, as I say, other global countries. So yes, by all means.
Absolutely. Well, while we are moving on to the next topic, if nobody else has a question, maybe just pop your details into the chat box, and
Sure.
then I'll share it with everybody afterwards as well.
I'm going to share Lynn's email details. She is our secretariat. If anybody's interested in joining, the best thing is to reach out to Lynn, and she will definitely respond. I can't say I'm very good at responding to emails when I've got plenty in my email inbox, but Lynn's very good.
We know the feeling. Yeah, Hassan has just posted a very important message. Thank you for sharing that. Hassan, do you want to have a quick word on what you've just posted?
Well, I just mentioned, I mean, that's always crossing my mind when I attended the first session, for instance, in Switzerland about this subject. I mean, our footprint is important, is significant, and I love the direction as the event industry we are all going. But the bigger picture is also what we should concentrate on. I mean, I gave the example of the war in Ukraine. I mean, the impact has 10 times more than the region than anything else.
True.
I mean, you can't do every carbon-free event in the region here, but that impact has such a huge thing. I believe that we should all become peace activists rather than thinking of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not wrong. I agree with you. I mean, obviously, that is an impact into the environment and also globally. 100%.
Well, thank you. No other questions for John at this stage. He's shared Lynn McLeod. She's the general manager of the EGF. You've got her email down there. So if you're keen on more information about joining, please do contact her. I'll share it in our notes afterwards as well. Akona, I see. Akona's from Eswatini. You've got your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Tess, and thank you, John, for the information. Mine is just a comment on, I guess, impacting the customer experience while we're greening. So, if, for instance, you're the one that's kind of pushing the customer, are you offering the paper straws, which for me aren't, don't go too well, so, and are you making them walk instead of, getting on a shuttle or something? So it's just the balance of the customer experience versus, going all out to green an event.
That is a very good question, and it's one that often gets asked, Akona. So thank you very much for bringing that up. And my answer is there are different elements to greening. So if we take this straw example, and I agree with you, my pet hate is the paper straws, because they become mushy and part of your beverage, and then you might as well not use them. Paper straws, there's a new element where we're using bamboo straws, bamboo straws, which resembles plastic. So they're a lot more hardy and a lot easier to use, and a lot more friendlier for the customer journey. Agreed. Other ways, for example, in events that I've seen down here in South Africa, is we give people water bottles like this one here that I'm holding up. If you can see it, I don't know with my camera. And we have water stations, self-fill water stations at events and conferences where people can then just take the water bottle, which doubles up as a commemorative gift for them to take away at home and reuse and recycle at home over and over again. And then during the conference and event or exhibition, they can continuously fill them out at recycled water fountains and water stations. So that's a way of overcoming possible objections to paper straws. But as I said, I agree with you, paper straws are not very good. And then in terms of something like transport, exactly. You know, we don't advocate you do away with it, but totally. But we say let's look, as I said, take baby steps instead of, you know, look at lift clubs or organizing shuttles. If you know that all your delegates and are coming from a central area, arrange for park and ride kind of facility where people can park their cars and then ride collaboratively in buses or ride shares or something like that. So just be innovative. I'm saying we can't use everything and you can't do everything at all events to start off with. So pick one or two elements and start working on in your greening journey along that way.
Thank you, John.
Hey,
Of course, my
thank you.
parting shot, my pet peeve when it comes to waste is food at our events, and that's going to be an interesting thing to overcome. But on that note, John, thank you again for sharing.